Gentleman yields back. Chair now recognizes Ms. Brown from Ohio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a member of the Select Committee on Strategic Competition with the Chinese Communist Party, I know all too well the threats we face from the CCP, disinformation, election interference, and efforts to destabilize democracy around the world. We also know that the CCP is not acting alone. President Xi is united with our most significant adversaries, North Korea, Iran, and yes, Vladimir Putin's Russia. These nations are attacking not only us, but threatening our democratic allies as well, like Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan. The propaganda campaign waged by the CCP against Taiwan and other CCP targets like Tibet and the Uyghurs directly mirrors what Iran is spreading about Israel and Russia about Ukraine. In fact, we have Republican members of this body repeating Russian disinformation, or as I like to call it, lies, as it relates to Ukrainian President Zelensky. But don't take my word for it. Republican leaders of the Intelligence Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committee both said it themselves. Although we know the 2020 election was the safest and most secure election in the history of this country, the completely false narrative is that it was stolen or somehow rigged against a certain candidate continues to this day. I remain concerned about foreign disinformation interference in our upcoming electoral process. Russia and China are seeking to capitalize on the big lie, creating even more chaos, confusion, and distrust before November. That is why I have already sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Justice, and the Election Assistance Commission to report on foreign efforts to misuse our adversaries' latest tool, artificial intelligence, in our election, and I am working on legislation to prevent AI misuse as a way to intimidate voters. So, Dr. Schneider, can you explain how Russia and the CCP are capitalizing on each other's propaganda efforts to spread disinformation in this year's election, and what Congress can do to combat these efforts?
First of all, I want to thank you, Representative, for using the word lie, which is very important. If we thought about the mandate of these hearings in a positive way, we would be thinking about what one would do starting from the United States to ensure that Americans are and can be well informed. Responding negatively, no matter how well, to Russia or China will never be enough. There will always have to be a positive response to ensure that there is investigative journalism and information available to Americans. As far as Russia and China and these coming elections, in a general way, one can say that there are Chinese institutions that are modeled on Russian institutions. If you follow what Group 912 of the Chinese Ministry of Public Security is doing, it looks like a kind of bad copy of what the Internet Research Agency in Russia was doing. It's all state rather than being quasi-private. Its themes and its tropes are much less skillful, but the basic idea is the same. To convince Americans that elections are basically pointless, and then also, in this case, to undermine the Biden administration and to promote the Trump candidacy. That's what its actors are doing at the moment. So there's that relationship. The overall aim, of course, is to get us into a situation where we don't believe in ourselves and we don't believe in our system. And I believe colleagues would agree that that negation is the basic aim in an electoral year or any other time.
Thank you. And Dr. Snyder, how has the twice impeached, 4 times indicted ex-president played into Russian and CCP disinformation over the course of this election cycle so far? And as an expert in this field, does this concern you?
I'm very concerned by the way, and again, this goes to the point about safe spaces. It's precisely the things that make you uncomfortable or irritated or generate some kind of negative reaction that you have to be alert to when you're discussing political warfare. If it makes you uncomfortable, if it gets into your safe space, that means the political warfare is probably working. I say that to preface the point that January 6th is incredibly important in Russian messaging. It demonstrates, from the Russian point of view, how unstable democracies are. And that message has also been picked up by China in its internet messaging in the years 2023 and 2024.
Thank you. It is clear we cannot abandon our allies in the face of a large-scale, global, and coordinated effort to influence our democratic electoral process. Every member of this body is the product of democracy at work. We must send a strong message to our adversaries. We are united in ensuring every step of the democratic process, from registering to vote to casting your ballot on election day, is protected. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Chair now